Welcome. You are listening to the Mindful Minute, meditations created for everyday joy. I'm your host, Meryl Arnett, and my passion is making meditation accessible and enjoyable. This podcast is recorded from my live Monday night meditation class, where we have a brief discussion followed by a guided meditation. If you would like to access these meditation practices as standalone audio files for your daily practice, please subscribe to my newsletter at merylarnett.com. It's free, and you'll receive a new mini meditation each week, along with behind-the-scenes content and bonus material for each podcast episode. All right, let's grab a cup of tea, a comfy seat, and settle in for today's practice. Welcome to part 2 of Endarkenment, our winter series. And, we started this series really just sort of framing up the dark as something that I think it's very easy to perceive as bad or scary or something that we should avoid. And in truth is a fully important, equal, valid part of a meditation practice, right? The yin-yang symbol, and part of it's white and part of it's black. It's light and dark. And together it completes the circle. They both have to be part of this experience. It can't just be one. And we talked a little bit about this idea of being so focused, so hell-bent on chasing the light and what that looks like within our practice and within our lives, that meditation feels so unattainable, right? We've created all this expectation around it. And the moment we start to soften our grip and say, maybe it doesn't have to be all bright light and bells and incense all the time, well, that's when our practice suddenly gets a whole lot easier. The practice of being with the dark, being in the dark, is a practice of embodiment, of coming into our bodies and feeling, right? Because, this is pretty obvious, right? You can't think your way through the dark. You have to feel your way through the dark. So the practice, the first step is, can I get out of my head and come into my body? And this, I think, is really important, because here's the other piece. Darkness is not logical or linear or binary. It doesn't need to make sense, and it likely won't make sense. The darkness, that dark aspect of our practice, of ourselves, of outside, like I'm looking out my windows right now and it is dark. It's unknown, mysterious, chaotic, maybe messy. And as we think about engaging with this, I want to offer one thing, and then we'll go further into it. A lot of times when we talk about the dark, especially in practices, you could equate that with what Carl Jung would call the shadow self, right? The pieces of ourselves that we hide or ignore or are very, very unhappy with. And we could be talking about that, right? This series is broad enough to hold all of that. All of the pieces of ourselves that we are uncomfortable with or scared of or don't want to know. But it also very literally means the dark. Like outside the window right now, dark. It is winter if you're listening to this in real time. It is dark more than it is light. And that literal darkness is also part of the practice. It's the easiest metaphor, I think, is like the forest. When you go into the woods, you've been camping. In the middle of the day, the woods are like bright and light and beautiful, and there's birds and it's awesome, and you're like ready to go explore. And that sun sets And you're like, where is the campfire? And what's that noise? Right? So we could be talking about real darkness. We could be talking about metaphorical darkness. And all of this is applicable. The first thing is, can I let myself feel? Can I get out of my head and stop thinking about it? And can I feel? And as I start to feel, because this is not easy work, the next piece is fierce self-compassion. Fierce compassion. Because this is not easy. Last week, I said, go out and meditate at night, right? Like go outside at night. That was your homework. Did y'all do it? Did anybody do it? Nope, nope, heck no. Heck no. There are bugs out there. I'm not going outside. Oh, Lori did it. Nicely done, Lori. Yeah, it's hard work. There is a reason we're all like, yay, spring. I love you. I'm so glad you're here. And you know, if you're in Atlanta with me, we've just had rain on rain on rain and rain. And today the sun came out. And how many of us were like, hallelujah, the sun, my God, I needed it so badly. There's a reason that there's seasonal affective disorder, right? We need light. I'm not discrediting that. We need light for survival. We need light to thrive. But like any good thing, it is very, very possible to have too much of a good thing. Too much light can look like spiritual bypassing. Do you know this term? Spiritual bypassing is like the ignoring or disavowing or pretending that anything negative, unpleasant, or uncomfortable, we just pretend it doesn't exist. Like, oh no, that doesn't bother me. I'm much more spiritually evolved than that. I would never get angry. I would never lose my patience. Oh no. I would never watch the news and muddy my soul by paying attention to what happens to the common folk. Right? I'm much above that because my practice is so deep. Spiritual bypassing. Another way that this might show up in our practice is magical thinking. Magical thinking is, well, once I meditate 20 minutes a day instead of 10, all my problems will be gone. I will be calm and happy all the time. Once I get the job I want, once my bank account hits that specific number, all of my problems will be gone. Once my kids are in the right school, once blah, 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 I will be happy. This is magical thinking, right? And lastly, too much light can simply show up as expectation. My practice should feel this way. I should look this way or behave this way because I meditate. All of this, all of the shoulds, all of the, well, when XYZ happens, or, oh no, I would never, I don't get angry. I meditate. I don't get angry. You know, I was laughing with a client today, you know, the little phrase, sometimes you see it on shirts and stuff, and it says, meditate, don't medicate. And we were like having a laugh. My client's a psychiatrist. We're like having a laugh about it, but also medicate if you need to, right? Like we're all trying to function. So meditate, yeah, but let's not be like, oh, I'm so lofty, I don't need anything else. I would never, right? I mean, that doesn't help us. It hurts us. It's too much light and it's ignoring the dark. And this practice is both. It is both. So Kristen Neff is a self-compassion researcher. And she's written a book called Fierce Self-Compassion, actually. And in this book, she has this little chart, a little grid. I'm going to try and put it in my newsletter when this episode comes out so y'all can see it. And the grid shows all of the different ways, or at least some of the different ways that compassion might show up. And we know tender compassion. This is the one we talk about all the time. This is love and connection and presence. This is tender compassion. But fierce compassion, listen to some of the words, qualities that describe fierce compassion. She uses bravery, empowerment, clarity, authenticity, balance, fulfillment, and vision. These qualities are the qualities that start to come into play when we're willing to step into the dark. If we could just live in the light all the time, we wouldn't need any of that, right? There's a reason all the stories start with, the fair maiden was lost in the woods. We gotta get strong. We gotta claim our power. We gotta be brave. We're balanced. We gotta have vision. And that comes when we step into the darkness. Right before this class, I was listening to Rising Appalachia. Do you know this band? It's two sisters, beautiful, beautiful music. I highly recommend listening to them. And there's a song I love from them called Sassafras. And in it, my favorite line is, backbones and foundations turn me on. I want it on a shirt. Backbones and foundations turn me on. And to me, this is the darkness, is like, I'm not scared to step out there. You want to go walk in the woods at night? Okay, let's go do that. Right? We have that sense of backbone and we have stability under our feet. And so we start to explore this practice. And here's the truth, right? You could do this practice anytime. It doesn't have to be winter. Because we close our eyes when we meditate and it's dark, or you meditate at night, or you turn the lights out in the room that you're in. And there you are practicing in the dark. And for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere right now, it's dark a lot. It's winter. This is prime time for these type of practices. And so the practice is, can I come into my body? Can I feel what I'm feeling? And then can I draw in some of these qualities of empowerment, of vision? We're going to explore tonight which one resonates with you the most, so that we can stay, so that we can linger here in these moments when it's just a little messier, a little less linear. And we're okay with that. It's so tricky. It's so tricky because we then go out and interact in society and somebody says, how are you? And you're like, how do you really want me to answer that question? Like, how do I answer that question? Because if I just say fine, it sort of feels like I'm like clinging to the light here. And I'm over here doing my work in the dark and I kind of want to tell you about it, but that's a whole lot of stuff to talk about. And you just asked how I was doing. And we're expecting to hear, fine, how about you? So it's hard. That's hard work. And we have our safe communities that we get to share with. We have our times, maybe right now, evening, to practice and to do that exploring so that we feel balanced when we do have to just say fine, when we do have to step into the light, yeah? Okay, let's do a little practice. We'll see which of these qualities feels most resonant to you. So you'll take a moment just to shift around. Get yourself super cozy. I love seeing you guys with your blankets, your beverages. I hope it's warm. Settle yourself into a seat that feels supremely supportive, with all of the props that you could possibly want. as you allow yourself to settle in, perhaps you will close your eyes. Maybe you'll dim the lights or turn the lights out. And if you're listening to this recording, maybe you'll be brave and step outside at night, sit down and meditate. And wherever you are, whatever time it is, we'll take a breath together. A deep inhale in, releasing a sigh out of the mouth. And let's just do that again, inhaling deeply. Exhaling out a sigh. Allowing your breath just to flow. And when you feel ready, you'll silently to yourself recite, "Now is my time to meditate." Now is my time to meditate. And as you say those words, you notice if you can sit down a little bit more. Releasing into the cushions beneath you. Feeling up through your spine, noting that you are tall and awake. Maybe you can allow your shoulders to roll back and down. And the crown of your head to lift just a little bit. And your breath flows easily. You let go through the muscles and the face. You let go through the muscles in the chest. And the muscles of the belly. And you feel yourself seated here, somewhere between relaxed and awake. And as we feel ourselves breathing, you just take a moment to notice the sounds of this particular moment. Letting your ears open and letting sound wash through. And as you breathe in and out, if you're not stopped up, maybe you notice the scent of this moment. When you swallow, allowing yourself to taste the moment. And then breath by breath, you send your attention down and in. Sending your attention down and into the body, just allowing yourself to feel. To feel through the darkened layers of yourself without any need to explain anything or narrate anything. And as you feel into the deepest layers of yourself, with your breath flowing, just for a moment, silently repeat the word bravery. 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 Allowing yourself to notice any vibration or resonance or feeling that you might have as you repeat the word bravery. And then let that word go. And silently to yourself repeat empowerment. 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 And then let that word go. And feel through the word clarity. 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 Noticing the felt sense of the word clarity in your body. And then let that word go. And try on authenticity. 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 And then let that word go. And lastly, try out vision. Feel as you repeat to yourself a vision. 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 And then let that word go. And come back to the word that you resonated with the most. The one that most caught your attention or you felt the most in the body. Bravery, empowerment, clarity, authenticity, or vision. And for these last 8 minutes, as we sit in silence, you might silently repeat that word a while longer. And at some point when you let the word go, we'll simply feel into that quality and through the darkness. Feeling your breath here. Feeling or sensing or simply trusting whatever that experience just was for you. And very gradually, let your breath start to deepen. And perhaps you straighten up your spine if you've slumped over. Wiggling into your fingers and your toes. And together, I take one last deep breath in through the nose. Exhaling a sigh out of the mouth. Taking all the time you need to let go of your practice, to blink your eyes open. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for listening to the Mindful Minute. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider sharing it with a friend or leaving me a review wherever you get your podcasts. This helps others to find the show, and let's face it, we could definitely use more meditators in this world. The Mindful Minute is recorded on Muskogee land and produced with the support of Madeline Day Production Management and Brianna Nielsen Virtual Assistants. To join my live classes, ask questions, or learn more about my teacher trainings, please visit merylarnett.com. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you guys next week.